Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston and it is fantastic. Thank you for being here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 17th of August 2026. Last week we had the harvest, hexagram 55, right? Leaning into getting those grapes off the Italian vines. And I was wondering whether anybody rushed out to get a beautiful loaf of Italian bread and olive oil after that whole story from last week. So what did the harvest mean for you last week? And in working with clarity, with radiance, hexagram 30, what did that mean for you in terms of seeing clearly, pushing through the urge of shuttering up the view and having a blocked off view that isolates you from others when the harvest and the family and all the people and all the things that you need are around you, is blocking that off, okay, and creating an isolatory experience. Throwing open the shutters, learning how to do that, to let the light in, to connect with radiance, hexagram 30, with perspective, with a broader, wider perspective of clarity, understanding what we cling to, what's important, and how as a team, as a community, as a family, we can radiate that light. Anything come up for you, please do share a comment. Right, into this week. Where are we going? What are we paying attention to as we work with the I Ching and the flows of change in our own lives this week? We have hexagram 25, the unexpected, innocence. Okay, this hexagram is one of the ones I've done in the I Ching series on the hexagrams. So I will put a link in somewhere so that if you want to go into the detail, you're more than welcome. This hexagram is about releasing attachments, releasing entanglements, and getting back to the innocent, wide-eyed, open nature of a child. Okay. And when we think about a child, they walk along the path and they see, oh, that's a shiny, nice object. What is that? And they bend down and they pick up this thing, all right, a little stone, a little crystal, whatever it is, and they look at it. Wow, what is that? What do they do next with that stone? Come, okay. And as adults, we no, take that out your mouth. It's dirty, it's dirty. Okay, but that idea of a child of experiencing, they've touched it, they've looked at it, they're using all their senses, and then they think, oh, what does it taste like? I don't know, it's new, in the mouth. Okay, so when we think about this hexagram, what it is really trying to help us focus on is really releasing all the attachments, the strings, the complexity, the corrupted thinking. This is a hard drive that hasn't been degaussed for a long time. It's like lots of noise and lots of associations and memories and junk, okay? And so what that does is we become very, very adult, okay, in our way of dealing with things. And we lose this ability, the childlike innocence, the spontaneity of this child, okay, experiencing this thing now by tasting it. And so we forget that. We forget how to experience life that way. We have all these rules and all these processes that we build up and all these complexities and all these social responsibilities of how I should behave to fit in. And we take away this wonderful creative energy that the child has to experience something new in a new way, spontaneous experience. That is what this hexagram brings to us. Looking at the two changing lines we have this week, and I'll get to them in a moment, the word expectation comes up strongly. And this hexagram is innocence, or the unexpected, something unexpected coming along. And how do we deal with something unexpected, right, comes along our path, good or bad, doesn't matter. And how do we deal with this? And what tends to happen is we deal with it in the mindset of all the complexity, all the strings, all the attachments, all the entanglements, all right? Very hard to then see it as a stone that's going into your mouth. And so when we think about this, one of the things as adults we can do to think about this hexagram is releasing our expectations. I know this is a big topic in relationships and how to really ramp up all kinds of relationships is releasing our preconceived expectations of what the other person should be doing for us in order to be a friend, a lover, a mother, father, a sibling, a husband, whatever, wife. We have these expectations. That looks like this, right? And when we have these preconceived ideas or expectations, these are the entanglements, right? Because we are looking for that thing out of this engagement, and there are other things we might be getting we can't see because we are assessing our experience from a very narrow point of view. So whenever we're having relationship difficulties of any kind, understanding what might be the unexpressed and perhaps even unconscious expectations we have of the experience, of the person, of the behavior, of the relationship. What do we expect to happen? And then invariably what happens is we say, oh, I am so disappointed. Ugh. Okay, so let's get into those changing lines, which are in positions 2 and 5. In line 2, what expectation are we trying to heal with this line? And the little saying goes, we cannot expect to harvest when we are plowing or use the ground when we're clearing it. Now, it's interesting that we had harvest last week, and here there's a reference to the harvest. So we are trying to harvest when we are still plowing the ground. We are still working and preparing the field for activity. We are not able to get the returns. We have expectations of how returns are going to come to us, right? When we are still preparing and getting it ready. We're trying to use the ground when we are still busy clearing out last year's crops from that harvest hexagram last week. So our expectation is that we get gain now when we are actually doing work for the future. All right. So what we are releasing is our expectations of immediate reward, and instead embrace the idea that when we invest the right energy at the right time, the return will come, but it doesn't come immediately. It comes after a cycle of time. So there's some aspect where perhaps we're impatient, perhaps we have unrealistic expectations on how quickly something's going to deliver the goods. Okay, whether that's a relationship, that's a new business project, whatever it is that you're doing, all right. You've got to understand you're still plowing and clearing. You are getting the field, okay, symbolically being the sandbox you are playing in. You are getting your field ready. It's not ready. Don't expect there to be a harvest when you are preparing the field. What is the expectation you have that you need to let go of? Okay. In line 5, an unexpected situation has materialized. And it is so easy for us to rush in and try and fix this unexpected situation, right? Usually it's a challenge, like something's happened and it's, oh, I've got to fix this. So you rush out to say, what am I going to do to fix this? All right. What am I going to pull out of the drawer to fix this? And the changing line speaks about you do not need to take medicine on an issue you have not created. In other words, if the illness does not lie with you, you don't need medicine. You don't need a health intervention if you are not sick. Taking the pills, even though you are not ill, doesn't make any sense. Okay. So what this means is that in this unexpected situation, all right, we've got to just take a step back and be very clear. Did I cause this situation? Is it linked to me? Is it my stuff? Are these my monkeys? And just have that moment of regrouping before you rush in to fix the problem. Because if it's not yours, you're going to turn yourself into a pretzel over something that is not yours, does not lie with you. And actually all you need to do is just give it some time and it will sort itself out. And that's what the changing line says. You do not need to take medicine if you are not ill. If someone else is ill, different issue. The situation will pass. Just chill. Don't go and rush out to fix a problem that is not yours. Don't take that karma or that responsibility or that accountability away from someone else. Just for this particular thing, when it pops up, just let it go. It will sort itself out in time. Okay. All right, second hexagram, those two changing lines combined with our first hexagram give us a new second hexagram. We read in parallel with the first. And that is interesting. Hexagram 38, opposition. Opposition is the story of the two sisters who don't get along. Okay. No matter what happens, they argue and disagree on every point. This is oil and water that do not mix. And remember that opposition, all right, where you have a conflict where we can't resolve it, we can't meet somewhere in the middle, right, can also be internal. I feel two ways about a thing, right? How do I resolve the fact that part of me feels this and part of me feels that, and I can't resolve the two, right? What we do when we work with this hexagram is we are being called to emulsify and bring these two elements together. Sometimes oil and water should part, all right? Or there's a disagreement, or there's a partnership, or there's a view with another where there are diverging views and they can never be brought together. Like there isn't a will between the parties to do it because it requires a commitment, an effort, and a long-term view. And if that isn't there, it's very hard to move that forward. What we need to do is emulsify them, right? And bring in a third element, a creative element that turns that conflict into creative tension. That doesn't try and be oil and doesn't try to be water, but finds the best of both and bonds them together. A new thing, a new idea. What is a way that you could take your two views, yours and the other, and pull it together in a way that's like a Venn diagram where they overlap, right? And you find a little space where there's a little bit of an ability to bind them together, and then you hammer that because that is the thing that glues things together. But there has to be a will, there has to be a joint interest and benefit in doing it, there has to be a shared purpose. And if you do that, you can emulsify these views into something cohesive. It might not necessarily be person A, person B. It might be that in a team or in a situation or in a particular family dynamic, there's a situation where you don't all agree. And so instead of everyone going and slinking off into their corner, all right, and being adamant that their view is the right view, we've got to try and find a way of putting all these views together and coming up with that Venn diagram, that overlap where we do see eye to eye, because we always have a crossover point, something we all do agree on. So if we can get that down and agree what is it we all agree on, you can then build on that and find ways of fulfilling each person's needs in their own unique way. Somehow, in a way, an internal conflict's harder to do because it's you in your head. You know, how do you resolve that internal conflict? Same thing, Venn diagram. Take those two circles, put them over each other, find something that is a common view between these two opposing ideas. All right, perhaps you are trying to make a decision and there's option A and there's option B, right? And they are similar and they are hard to differentiate which is the right one. Maybe there's a way you can emulsify the view and bring it together. An interesting week for us to work through as we stay open to the unexpected. Perhaps this week we put a stone in our mouth. Give it a little taste and experience something new. Probably spitting it out, but that we are open to new things, the unexpected, the surprises. What might be in that magic box? We always worry, we open the box, Pandora, all kinds of stuff's going to come out, but maybe a wonderful surprise is waiting for us inside that box. Not the jack in the box, but a nice, wonderful surprise. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you liked this episode, it was valuable, hit the like or a thumbs up would be great. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe and the follow button on the podcast to keep getting the episodes into your app as they are published. Thank you for being here with me, and I will see you very soon for our next I Ching forecast.